Okay, call the meeting to order for February 13th. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the Select Board meeting on January 23rd and the Special Select Board meeting on the 30th.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion on either of those? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
5-0. We have a new addition in the packet. It's down under new business for a liquor license for Big Picture Farm. We'll get to that in course. Let's see. Members of the public. How you doing, Bob?
Good.
What you got?
Stone Arch Bridge. I'd like to address the select board in terms of liability. What has our town attorney said about that contract? And the specific reason is I didn't see anything in there about professional liability insurance, sometimes called errors and omissions. And within the contract, a number of times design is mentioned as well as engineering. If there's anything that happens insofar as the design goes and anyone gets injured, the town and the select board, you're on the line. And professional liability insurance is what covers that risk. So the town attorney is who I'm interested in hearing what they had to say about it.
My one question to you, Bob, would be, how is the select board on anything to do with liability? We have sovereign immunity to a certain point, and then past that, we have liability insurance? We don't.
Not for this.
Okay. So we don't have liability insurance if a stone goes through somebody's window?
Different story.
Yeah, but it's not a different story.
It is. That's why I asked the question about what the town attorney had to say about it.
Well, if the town attorney had all sorts of red flags, we would have heard all about them.
So our town attorney spent time reviewing this?
I'm gonna figure, yeah, to a certain point.
I'm gonna
We'll
ask
look
you
into it.
Okay, thank you. Because it's the town that's gonna be responsible. And Rob, you had mentioned that the town has already got $250,000 in reserve fund. It's actually 288. And somehow or another, we went from articles that called for repair of the bridge to restoration of the bridge. So are we talking about the same thing with this new article?
What article are you talking about?
The article for this upcoming town meeting. It says, to see if the town will vote to raise $50,000 by taxation to be held in a reserve account for the restoration of the Stone Arch Bridge and Back Windham Road. In the past, what was said in those articles, to see if the town will vote to raise $50,000 by taxation to be held in a reserve account for repair of the Stone Arch Bridge on Back Windham Road contingent upon successful award of grants funds. So we're talking different things here, right? Or is it the same thing?
It's the same thing.
Well, it's not worded the
It
same
doesn't
way.
matter. What's in that right now is
It
what
does
they're
matter.
voting on.
It does matter.
Bob, we're not gonna go round and round about this. What's in that article is what they're gonna vote on at town meeting.
Okay,
That's all it takes.
okay.
Move on, next.
Well, not to move on
Go ahead.
next, but Bob, if we went back 4 or 5 meetings ago and you brought this up, that would have helped. I mean,
So when I
Now-
called you, you didn't get back to me. Sorry about that.
when you called me, I'm under the assumption that you're calling me about something crazy because that's what's gone on in the past. And it's like, well,
I
it's
don't know
like,
what you're talking about. I never called you about anything crazy. Never.
okay. Well then, we're probably not gonna find a happy medium about what I'd say to you.
Okay. Anything else?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Let's see here, warrants. Go ahead, Katie.
I'd like to make a motion to pay the warrants. Number one, payroll in the amount of $14,529.36. Number two, payroll taxes in the amount of $6,848.89. Number three, payroll in the amount of $12,830.92. Number four, payroll taxes in the amount of $3,436.52. Number five, general fund in the amount of $133.12. Number six, general fund in the amount of $15.99. Number seven, general fund in the amount of $14,072.05. Number eight, highway in the amount of $35,670.39. Number nine, highway equipment in the amount of $8,479.10 for a total of $96,016.34.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on the warrants? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
5-0. All right. There's some in the packet for the treasurer. There is the overall municipal investment fund is $994,092.17 with the checking account at $30,000, and there's a notation of business money market, but I'm not sure just exactly what that is, so it's at least positive to us to $57,000. Then there's a couple of, there's another page that goes on and gives the status of CDs. On the actual fund, true fund balance, this time $448,012.50. Oh, I'm sorry, thank you. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Not really much to report. It's been pretty quiet otherwise. Connie and I have been spending quite a bit of time on FEMA stuff. We're finally starting to make some headway on that. So hopefully within the next couple, 3-4 weeks, we can get most of it entered in and
Hope it doesn't get kicked back.
pretty much. They're making us jump through hoops this year for some reason.
They did last time.
It's worse.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Any questions for Jeremy? You all set? Now the town clerk's report. Counter money, she took in $1,145. Okay. Next thing, this is my addition. What's going on right now in the legislature is, and this came out of VLCT today, the Senate has passed a bill, or is working on a bill, number 55, which will require all public meetings to be, have services to be hybrid. So we're going to have to figure out what we're going to have to spend to bring it up to their standard, but it's not much different than what we do now. If we have a public meeting, as long as there's somebody here that can keep the doors open, we can have the meeting via Zoom or any one of those other things. That's at our choice. What this is going to do is make it mandatory that we have that availability. Now, leagues of cities and towns are contesting it, Don't know where it's gonna go, but it's going. The other thing that I have is we now have access to Vermont Alerts. I can send Vermont Alerts from here, which will give us an ability to communicate with the general public in the event of emergencies. So, and there'll be 2 more that'll go on the ability to make that, those posts just as soon as I can arrange for training for them. And, let's see, that's it. Any questions? Okay, we'll move on to old business. Liza Martin tax penalty. On November 14th and January 2nd, Liza Martin sent a memo to the town treasurer about her tax bill, specifically the penalty. We have, or I have, tabled it a couple of times because of other things that needed to be done, but she was sent an invitation to be here to present whatever evidence she had and whatever comments the board wanted to take and make a question of. She declined. So the only way that we can set aside her penalty, which is $480, is in the event of hardship. And that hardship is defined as the person being full-time active military duty and the declarant is outside of the state, serious illness or disability or death of an imminent or immediate family member of the declarant, and fire, flood, and other disasters. From what I know of the situation, she doesn't qualify as any of those. And without her coming here to make that pitch, I don't believe we have any other choice but to deny her request. And in the process, just one of the process things, the treasurer gets the letter and then she sends on what she feels is the outcome and recommendation to us. And her recommendation is as follows. Actually, Katie, will you read that there?
In reviewing all documentation presented, Mrs. Martin has not met any of the 4 hardship criteria in order to remove the penalty assessed by the town of Townsend. The $480.01 should remain in place and collectible. It is the resident's responsibility to file her taxes on time. And per Liza, the state of Vermont also charged her a late file penalty fee.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I guess I would entertain a motion to deny this request and move it along to whatever her appeal will be.
You can't make a negative motion, so you can't make a motion to deny. You have to make a motion to approve and then vote it down.
Okay, you're right. Thank you. Is that your motion?
I will make a motion to approve Elizabeth Swen Martin's motion to deny or to waive her tax penalty.
Okay, that works. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Is all those in favor signify by saying aye? Opposed?
Aye.
4 or 5, 0 and 5. We'll send her a letter with those issues addressed. Okay. Gazebo.
Hello,
Hello, how are you?
we are the Gazebo Committee. And are you in possession of this
Oh, we're in possession of a lot of
Okay.
stuff.
So, we have decided to propose to you, to purchase a pre-built gazebo from Country Lane. They're out of Pennsylvania. John's been talking a lot with them. Laura started the conversation months ago and we whittled it down to this was our best recommendation for the town. We want to oversee the project. The funding of the project will either be by a grant or by the town. The town will set aside funds for maintenance of the gazebo overseen by the gazebo committee. And the budget's as follows, 31,000 and change for the structure. The site, almost $6,000. It's all laid out and broken down there. And the total cost being estimated at $41,260. The timeline, we suggest that the grant submission is the 31st of March, the second week of May, if we hear about the award, we would hear about the award. If awarded the grant, then the payment will be made in June. In June, we also want to prepare the site, and we want to look at the end of June as the gazebo being delivered and constructed. The company from Pennsylvania comes in and puts the gazebo down on site, on a site that we've prepared with some sort of gravel that's being discussed, and topsoil, and some cement blocks for support. Is there any discussion there? I know, John, did you talk to them today?
Yes, yeah.
Do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think you covered
Okay.
it pretty well.
Do you folks have any questions for us?
I'm wondering if not awarded the grant, how is there money set aside?
There is money set aside, then we would spend almost all of that, and then we wouldn't have a pool of money for maintenance, so we'd have to talk about that at that time. But we're hopeful for the grant. Katie's worked very, very hard and very professionally on this grant application to 2 places. And, you know, it's worth a shot, and it might be really good. And I went home thinking after our meeting last night that there's so many things in town that if we had a good grant writer, that we could avail ourselves to and help our town that way. But, yeah.
I just want to make clear that the select board would have to decide where to have the funding come from. I think there is possibilities, but it would be the select board decision.
There are.
It's my memory that we've been appointed to this point to hand over the proposal to the selectmen. We would like to continue. We've whittled ourselves down to 6 people, if you count Connie, that are, you know, really hardworking and dedicated to the process. So we're willing to continue if you folks want us to. And let's see, so we're submitting to vote for the approval of the design, the manufacturer, and the budget, to vote the dollar amount if the grant is not approved, to vote to continue the current gazebo committee to oversee the implementation of the project, and to vote to set aside funds for the proposed maintenance of the gazebo, including yearly plantings and landscaping. And
Is this what you're suggesting?
correct. Was it 1 foot taller than that, John?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, they're gonna make them.
That's the less high model. This one will be 1 foot taller.
So it'll have another step, basically.
No, the poles will be taller, the
Oh, okay,
headspace,
okay.
not off the ground taller.
No, we really wanted to try to find out if we could have steps. But the ADA compliance gets harder and harder and the ramps get larger the more steps you have. So our solution to that problem would be an earthen ramp or just building up the land around it and then
Give it
landscaping
a
that.
high look without it actually
Right,
being
and it's
off
not-
the ground.
And we're thinking it's not gonna be located in the same spot, which will sort of change the perspective of the height of it as well.
Yeah.
Katie, do you have any clue as to where it's going?
I think John has some ideas.
And I have some ideas
Yeah.
too. John and I met there one time and looked at it, and it looked like if it was over towards the fountain a little more, and to the right towards the banner area, it's on a high spot of the common instead of it being in the low spot over there. But, you know, we can decide that as we go forward.
The only reason I was asking, because there's already power around this previous
Mm-hmm.
spot, so that'll change your electrical.
Yeah, and that'll be part of the finalized numbers.
But that location won't change it that drastically.
One question I would have was what came out of the vote as far as people putting their perspective in on it,
Yeah,
townspeople.
this was second on the vote.
Second?
And it wasn't a vote, it was a poll, it was a non-binding poll. And people liked the one with the steps. However, they didn't realize about the ramp, and they didn't realize that the builder who was building it was more than twice the price of this. Almost 3 times the price of the 30,000 that the Pennsylvania company is getting. And we like them a lot, and we like the ramp, we like the steps a lot. We agreed with the poll, but as Katie said, we couldn't get around the ADA compliance of a ramp, and the ramp was god awful. It looked like that table almost, and it really took away from the visual of the gazebo, and it was an insurance nightmare in my opinion. If in the winter we didn't keep snow off it and somebody slipped and fell playing on it, they could sue us for that. So there were a lot of reasons that we shied away from that and ended up with this.
And the
And the
cost,
cost was, the cost
Yeah.
like, of the ramp was going to be almost another like $30,000.
yeah, we would need
That's
grant
crazy.
funding and to drain the funding that we have.
But what would be nice is that you sent all of the information. So what the cost of
Right,
item number 2
you
and then
were
item
invited
number
to come
1
to the
as well
meetings
as,
as
what's
well.
that?
You were invited to come to the meetings as
Well, I think I actually started out as being the chairman of that.
Yes,
And after several meetings, I realized that it was like, this is like, we're almost banging our head against the wall to a certain point. And then there was a few people on the board that were a little bit, you know, here and there and
If I can
so on and so
address-
forth. So what my point is that I would like to see what the first option was of the leading votes, whatever terminology you want to put it towards who was voting for things, what they were, and what the cost was, and then have it come to us all in the same part, whether I was invited to it or whether I wasn't.
I think that the committee understood its task to be to solicit input, do the research, come up with a proposal to bring to the select board. So that's what they did. I mean, we went around and we went to different directions. And so if the select board has questions about the other explanation, there's 3 options, right? It's the pre-built, it's the self-construction, and it's a locally constructed, right, by another company. So if the select board would like that information, I think we'd be happy to produce that, but the committee's understanding was that it was supposed to bring a proposal to the select board.
make a
So that's what it's
decision and
doing.
present it to you.
And we also weren't, it was our idea as a committee to poll the town. We thought that since we weren't getting a lot of people at the meetings and things like that, we wanted a wider opinion than just the 8 of us in the room at the time. And so we kind of put out this effort that we're gonna ask around and show some pictures and see what people thought to actually just gather sort of aesthetic information, because different people in the committee were finding different options and bringing it to the table, and we're like, well, we're not sure which way to go. So that's why we ended up doing that, so.
Well, here's one comment. You were talking about being forced, overseeing the grant and keeping track of the site and moving on as its kind of stewards for the future. My thought would be that the board would appoint this group to be a continual review of what's going on, not just on the gazebo, but the common itself. From what I understand, the fountain is a mess. That needs to be dealt with. And it's just, somebody needs to look over it. And it's better to have the community involved in it than just one or two people. You know, at some point, you know, a decision has to be made. And then you have to carry on with what you can backfill. You know, the gazebo came down, you guys did a pretty good job of getting people's input and information. Yeah, and now once we make a decision, I think a group that kind of continues to advise the board on situations, what things are gonna cost, that
So
type
you're
of thing.
saying not necessarily this group, but a group?
Could be this group. I'm
Yeah,
just
just
saying,
asking.
I'm just saying that I think it would work better for the common as a whole to have things brought up out of that group. Now, there are gonna be times when the board's just gonna decide. But, you know, you in inspecting the situation, see, oh, the rail's getting kicked out, or the common, or the fountain falling apart, something like that. You can bring it in here, and then we can figure out what we're gonna do.
Well, that's
as
a good
group.
idea. Would we go forward with this and then, in the meantime, create that
Probably.
larger committee?
Probably, once this, we're talking about once this is done.
Okay.
So, Jeremy, did you have something?
No.
Okay.
So I'm gonna make a motion upon this proposal that you have given to us. I'm gonna make a proposal or a motion to approve the $31,360.52 to replace the gazebo on the common to these specs. Now, is there anything that you would want to, like, propose to this
Well,
proposal?
when you make a motion for that, what about the site costs?
Well, the 31,600 or 360.52 is,
That was the structure.
Just for the structure.
That's the structure. If you look down below, it says total estimated cost, $41,260.52. That includes the site work. It's on
Before
the
that
front page.
page, Rob, before that.
But you could omit the landscaping if the $5,000 in landscaping if you needed to. Or I wouldn't. Or the contingency, so.
And we have
yeah.
that in there, a big reason for the grants, so that they can see the.
There's a community
the
involvement
total cost.
aspect for the grant, and so we thought that a good way to involve the community would to have them involved in the landscaping of it. We would have the plants and the soil and all of that bought through the grant, and then the community could come together and put it all in together.
Yeah, but if we don't get the grant, we can eliminate the
Right.
$5,000 for landscaping and the contingency fund and
Right.
just go with the actual base for we have to have a base for the gazebo.
Right, and right now, the landscaping amount is an estimate as well. We are looking at trying to get 3 bids on that to find out how much it would actually cost and then adjust it. Or get rid of it if we don't want to have it in there right now.
So up to 41, 260? In your.
or you could put it down to 31,360.52 up to that point, and then providing you find financial gifts up to there, we could come up with the other 10,000.
But we still need,
The site work.
we still need A, B, and C to put the 31,000 on top of.
That's where the 3160 gets you the building, and then when you, what's that?
Doesn't get you the site to put it on.
Well, what my point is then you would further your fundraising to find the site part. And if you need that part, we can get that, but we're not doing it tomorrow, are we? But it would get you the part where you could order the building and have it being manufactured, and then come the season of building in the state of Vermont, in the southern part of this hemisphere, we could work that in, right or wrong.
I would respectfully say that we should at least include the $900 so that we would have the sure pack, the electricity, and the cement blocks in anticipation of receiving it.
Did the manufacturer say cement blocks? Because I'm wondering if that's really.
They're a flat cement block, right, John?
It's a 4-inch block that they,
To
I
get it
don't
off
mind
the
putting
ground.
them on a 4-inch
We
block.
could buy a truckload of block for $1,000.
Well,
It's,
we can
we're not in the part of arguing that point. My point is that
In case of something.
getting this building ordered and then working from there is working with you and working towards the final goal, right?
And we would
And-
just vote on these
and then we
pieces
can-
later
it's like,
if
okay.
we needed to.
Nobody stepped up to the plate as volunteers to do any of the dirt work. Okay, we incorporate another 10,000 in May to get these things done.
I think that
Or do you want to do it all right now, is what you're saying?
I'm not
Who's the site?
arguing, I'm just, what I'm
No, but
saying
what,
is that the landscaping and the contingency fund, which is 9,000 out of the 10, could hold off, but I in good conscience would suggest that we have the other 1,000 plugged on to the 31,000, so that we're ready. We're not gonna have somebody make, blocks for us or gravel. And, if the town crew's gonna do the land moving, we can wait on the other things, yes.
my point being is like blocks. We can go down and get a pallet of blocks at WW's
I
in
realize that.
But
5 minutes.
that's why the suggested price is only 200, because the thought is to go down to WW.
Right.
and get the block.
And we needed to get this all of our ducks in a row also so that we could try to save the town money with the grants. So as I said, I would suggest the 31,000 and the 1,000.
So 32,000?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would amend my motion to read $32,362.52 to include the proposal for country lane gazebos so that we could order the gazebo, have it being built and delivered upon whenever the site is ready, and then $1,000 for the other concrete
Necessaries.
blocks, and then the rest of it, as needed, would be approved by the select board for up to $10,000 more than the $32,360.52, not to exceed $42,362.52 for the whole entire project.
Okay.
Okay,
You
so
get
it's a
that?
really long motion.
So,
Well,
Can I try to state it?
Reader's Digest it.
please.
So, Wright makes a motion to approve $32,360.52 to replace the gazebo to these specs and the site work at up to $1,000. And then, and other expenses will be approved by the select board up to $10,000, not to exceed $42,000.
Should be 40.
41.
I think it
And
needs
you
to
give it a little
go
wiggle
the
room.
31, the 32, and then one onto it, and then the remainder to fill out to the
Right.
42,000.
42,000.
Well, the 32 is already adding 1,000.
I think it just gives us a little wiggle
Yes.
room.
And then you have 1,000 for the concrete blocks and other material, and then 9,000 from there. So the
So,
42,000.
Wright makes a motion to approve the 32,316.52 for the replacement of the gazebo and the site work up to $1,000. And other expenses approved by the select board up to $10,000, not to exceed $42,000. So kind of rough numbers.
Bob, that meet your criteria?
I had
So
no
moved.
idea.
Okay, so we've got a motion and we've got a
Who
second.
seconded?
I think it's between you two.
Oh,
I did.
I said so.
Can I say something about the grant before we move any further?
Yeah, we're in discussion.
Oh, we're in discussion. Okay. I just want to point out that we're really hoping, and I think you said this, but I just want to reiterate that we're really hoping to completely fund this with the grant. You can ask for up to $50,000, but you have to be really specific about the money. And so that's our hope, and that we won't have word on whether or not we are receiving the grant until mid-May. So in mid-May, we'll know whether or not we're gonna have it completely funded by the grant and the town doesn't need to spend this money on it, or whether we'll have to use this money if we get denied, which we're hoping to not.
When are you planning on breaking ground?
Late June.
Late June?
What did we say,
Before
June
those.
26th, we wanted it done by, July 26th.
You want it up by
You wanted
Fair
to
Day?
bring it up.
We
We
want-
wanted it July
Yeah.
20, landscape and grand opening July 27th, in anticipation of them starting to prepare for Fair Day, so.
And if that timing doesn't work, we can extend it for after Fair Day.
Jeremy, can your guys do the site work?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, that's half a day's worth of work.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion?
I remember you guys had kept the topper from the previous gazebo. Was there a plan to maybe put it on this one, or have you looked into it?
We haven't looked into it, I don't know that we do have it somewhere, don't you, John?
Yeah, I have it.
Yeah, and I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay.
I wouldn't
Just
mind
curious.
seeing it, but I'm not quite sure how with the cupola idea, which people in every poll, people like the cupola. A lot of people like the double roof, but it added much more expense. But everybody loved the cupola. So I'm not sure how it would look on the cupola, but I'm sure we'll entertain it and keep you posted.
Okay.
All right.
Am I welcome to vote on this?
What's that?
Do I have to abstain?
Yeah. No, you can vote.
Okay.
Okay, all those in favor of the proposal, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. Thank you.
You're
Good job.
Nice work.
Yeah,
I think those all.
the committee works well together.
Oh, because he's the chair.
I just
What's
didn't,
that?
did everybody vote?
Yes.
I don't think Rob did.
I said yeah.
Oh,
said yes.
I did right.
I didn't make the motion without the idea of following a.
You don't vote for your motion,
I mean,
Well,
there's
we did it
other,
earlier. We made a
there's
motion and
other
we all
things.
said nay, so it does happen.
Bringing out logic,
Just someone
would you?
needs to.
All right. So we have a common use request, and I can't find the paperwork.
This one?
Oh, I should be.
Yeah, probably. but I
Grace
lost
Cottage
it.
family house.
Yeah.
You're probably in there, correct?
Andrea Seaton. All right. So they want it for,
What is it for?
I'm trying to figure that out. It's not the.
It doesn't
it's not
really
the-
say.
No, it doesn't. Is it a foot race or something like that?
It says Grace Cottage FH and, oh no, that's Family Health Hospital. I don't know, it doesn't, it's not saying.
It's a fun run.
The fun run? Okay.
Running doesn't.
Thank you.
Who's that over there?
That's the
What did
original.
he say?
Thank
He
you.
didn't.
Okay. Okay, so they want to use the common for their run on May 11th, 2024, 7:30 a.m. setup, 8:30 event, breakdown by 11. So they'll have it all cleared off the same day. We don't have an insurance certificate. Connie, did they send us an insurance certificate for this?
Oh, they did not attach it, but we know they have it, we've attached it to the Faraday one.
Yeah,
So we could go
but for
get
precedence, it'd be nice to have one with every time that somebody submits something. The other one with that is the fun run is on the roads and they are supposed to have sheriff, state police, somebody there to operate traffic control.
It goes up Route 35?
Yes. To Deer Ridge Road, just a little above it, and they turn and come back. And
Wait, don't they have that hired police officer?
Yeah, they've got.
they usually, they have in the past, and that's, would be nice to have them
So you
say
want
that they have it.
law enforcement for traffic control as a condition. Is that what you're saying, Rob?
I think that's what I'm getting.
And the submission of that.
Okay. Insurance certificate. Okay, so I'd entertain a motion to accept the Race Cottage Fair Day request for May 11th, 2024 for their fun run, with a proviso that they have a law enforcement officer there for traffic, and an insurance certificate has to be provided.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any objection to me signing this at this time to approve? Okay. It is, what the hell is today? 2/13. Law enforcement officer. Okay. That's done. The next one we have is a liquor license for Big Picture Farm. This is a first-class commercial caterer. Has there been any problems? Anybody heard of any problems with this?
No.
Make a motion to approve the liquor license for Big Picture Farm.
Okay, there's a motion.
Second.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's 5-0. All right. Now this is one of those goofy ones that we'll have to figure out a signature place. All right, that gets us through what we needed to do. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 5-0.
Third.